Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Matt Walsh saying women crying on TikTok should have their voting rights revoked. Now, this is him actually reacting to someone by the name of Cassandra McDonald. She says, quote, another crazy liberal woman, well, was it a double negative? Well, yeah, obviously crazy liberal. Well, yeah, of course, but is crying and plotting to interfere with ICE for TikTok head pats. Let's see. Now, interestingly enough, let me check here. She does not have a cow ring on her nose. Very unusual, nor the glasses that have the rims or frames thicker than most people's legs, which leftists notoriously usually have. But yes, she is a white woman, which most of them are. And she says, POV, you, I don't know if this is the right grammar. She says, you next to the neighbor because you hear ICE is coming, then make sure your husband knows where to pick you up when they detain you. What? So she's saying she's an illegal? What? She's crying. And she says also, how did we get here? How? Well, very easy. The Biden administration basically had an open border that allowed estimated between 13 and 20 plus million illegals come in here. I mean, so we got here because of people like you voting for that. Voting for those government officials to break the law, be traitors. Again, none of this would be happening if there's no illegals here. Like, if we actually had a solid southern border and didn't have, well, not just them turning a blind eye and allowing it, Biden-Harris administration, but also stopping and trying to punish states that try to stop illegal immigration when they're trying to sue Texas for having the Constantina wire or trying to put some barriers there. And Matt Walsh says, quote, theatrically crying on a TikTok video should lead to an automatic and permanent revocation of your voting rights. Now, Matt only got 137,000 views and 6.5 thousand likes for this. I think he should have got more. Now, again, in terms of our country and what makes us great and what would get our country back on track and what would help the most amount of people, he's not wrong. I mean, when you look at the statistics on who's voting for this crazy radical leftism stuff, well, liberal white women. Also, over 50% of them are diagnosed and depressed, mentally unfit, and are in copious amounts of SSRIs and other prescriptions. I'm sure this is a coincidence, of course. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Taylor Dace, and quote, she's got wino Roseka. If she's detained, she's likely for another DUI in 27 likes. Obviously, that shows how cultured I am. I know of wine. I think last time I actually had it. Now, you also have the Biblomatic man. Says, quote, your great-great-grandmother buried 3 children and still made dinner. You're sobbing into your ring light because someone disagreed with you. Gained 54 likes. John Lee says, too far. Might be time to add for a drama tax. Gained 4 likes. OU Chris says, these people are absolutely insane. Just imagine if they get to write history books. Gained 2 likes, which, well, that's a concerning thing. Not only do they write history books, but a lot of these gals are teachers in the public school system. Which, as a friendly reminder, we spent, $2 trillion on the Department of Education. And every year, the grades go lower and lower and lower. Perhaps because most teachers, or many teachers, are more interested in talking about gender stuff and political stuff and LGBTQ stuff rather than actual history, science, mathematics, anything that'd be useful in the real world. You also have Nicholas Giordano saying, quote, Matt, you're being too hard on these brave, noble virtue signalers. History textbooks will likely remember that year as a bunch of liberal white women stopped into their phones to stop ICE from enforcing federal law. The Rosa Parks of the 21st century gained 2 likes. Well, 1, but I made 2. Odin, second language strategies, says, quote, and you should have to wear TT wherever you go in public. We could make it like a fun color, say scarlet, getting 5 likes. Caroline says, but it's fun, getting 2 likes. J5 says, seems extreme, but intriguing, though, getting 3 likes. Scotty Rabbies has a picture of a leftist girl. Says, quote, I should film my mental breakdown and post it online. Gain 20 likes. Yep. David Sprout has a picture of a guy holding a sign. Says, quote, if you record yourself crying and put it on the internet, I hope whatever you're going through gets worse. Getting 7 likes. Paul Cregan says, Grandpa, why did civilization end up this way? It looks like dystopia or modern day San Francisco. And says, liberal white woman grandson. Gain 2 likes, which, yeah. America as Trump simply has a picture of her saying retard, getting 3 likes. Joey FAFO says, white liberal women will vote for this. You have a gal jumping in joy saying, defund the police, Black Lives Matter. And a black guy in hoodie goes up and punches her in the face, getting 14 likes, which, I mean, yeah, these ladies also vote for those judges that let criminals out. Was it 72 times, and they still go out and kill and steal? Or they want them to have, not just second chances, but 70 plus chances. Let's see, Biden's missing brain has for having a missing brain, he has an exceptionally well quote by one of the best artists and writers of all time, George Orwell, and it says, quote, "It was always the women, and above all, the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of the slogan, the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy." Game 12, basically 13 likes. Again, George Orwell, 1984. The only sad part of that book, many sad parts about that book. The saddest part is that modern day governments are much worse than the ones imagined in that novel, which, again, exceptionally good novel. Sad book, but unfortunately, all too real. Let's see here. Jason Miller says, "Well, no woman should be allowed to vote. It's clear they are the problem." Gain 3 likes. Which, I mean, if you break down how men and women vote, well, women overwhelmingly vote for Democrat Party, bigger and bigger government, more and more authoritarianism. Let's see here. EFan88 says, that's just, again, these grammars are abhorrent, but I'll read it as it's written. That's just repeal the 19th Amendment with extra steps. Let's see. Deborah says, "Here's a better picture of her. You want some of these? You want some wine, cheese with that wine, Buttercup?" There's a picture of it says liberal white woman, but she doesn't have enough rainbows on her t-shirt. And her hair is too long. But nevertheless, she does have the cliche cowering, and it's attached to a collar and leash, and that goes to an arm labeled the Democratic Party. C.F. Dalton says, quote, "Can we just admit the 19th Amendment was a mistake?" Getting 7 likes. Swamp Rat Watch says, "I hear they're opening up the mental asylums again. If you film yourself crying on the internet, they should take you and let you chill out in one of them for a while." Getting 3 likes. Let's see here. SK says, "You could fix this woman's delusion by turning off her TV for 2 weeks." Gain 2 likes. Anthony says, quote, "How many tears did she shed for the thousands of people who died because of Biden's open border?" Gain 4 or 5. Let's make 5 likes. Yeah, I'm guaranteed she does not know the name Laken Riley, though she should. Yeah, novel idea, but yeah, I don't think it's actually, in terms of, losing their voting rights, I don't think it'll happen, but let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.